لو الحكاية فيها إن فيتو.
Egyptian photographer, he's 20 or 23 or 24 years old. He do captures moments from the life of people in Cairo through his camera. And normally he focuses more on the emotions of the people, of the protesters. For the whole thing, he tries to capture this special moment throughout those events. His courage and taking the risk to go throughout this protest, especially in this special moment in Egypt, where it's really risky and dangerous to go into such places and take photos. And even after being in this place, publishing those photos might endanger you as well.
Fantastic pictures here. Moc'ab, الشامي, could you please join us? Congratulations. Those pictures also on your Facebook page, also on Twitter, also on your blog are absolutely fantastic. And we heard earlier Shaqiq, who is also a photographer, almost envying some of the stuff that you came out with. So where do you get the images from? How do you actually approach it?
Well, how I approached it is how I started 3 years ago when I decided to drop pharmacy school and go and take to the streets with my camera. And it came from a desire not only to see what was happening at that very significant time, but also know and understand. And it has been truly a privilege because it got me to places as a normal person I wouldn't have been able to. My approach has always been on the human side of what has become a very sad state in Egypt. My approach was to focus on the human loss, which is also increasing now in Egypt. And through this camera, I was able to meet people I wouldn't have met otherwise. I was able to document stories that I wouldn't have known about. And it was always a personal experience, but it later gained this more meaning, more than just being an eyewitness, but also sharing it through my blog and on social networks.
And just sort of had their boots, and in between there were the flowers.
Yeah, they said that I shouldn't be there for long because if their officer comes, I'm not going to be able to go home with this.
So that was obviously a situation that was easy to be handled. Were there other situations, and I know that a couple of your colleagues are actually in prison right at the moment?
Yes, since last summer, my work as a photojournalist has dramatically been a much tougher job. I actually want to dedicate this award to the many bloggers and journalists in Egypt who are now behind bars, including one of this award previous winners, Allah, who I can call a friend, who is now serving a 15-year sentence. The Al Jazeera journalists who are serving another sentence. My own brother, Allah, الشامي, who was imprisoned for over 10 months and had just been released, to freelance photojournalist Mohammed Abu Zaid, to bloggers who are still fighting for the truth because the situation in Egypt is very difficult. There is a war on not only this generation but on truth. It is becoming a very, very difficult time, and more people are still determined to keep fighting for this truth. So I tip my hat to them, and I'm very honored to be with them.
Wow. You see yourself as an eyewitness reporter, more or less. However, even in Egypt, where probably you don't need that much a day to live, you still have to live. So how do your photos contribute, after you've made them, to the new vision or views on Egyptian reality?
Yeah, the privilege I have is that I do not have to approach the mainstream media to have these pictures published, or I do not have to walk up to a local journalist. I was thankfully able to gain this audience that I could directly go after a protest or after a funeral or a massacre or whatever event was happening, and then I could share them directly. And through these networks, whether it's Twitter or Facebook or Flickr or the different platforms that I have used, I was able to, in many cases, identify the subjects and later continue the story from there. So it has given me this privilege, and because I didn't use the traditional means, it has in many cases also given me an opportunity to make little change, because without these pictures making any change, then it is just pictures that can be put on a wall. And changes which I personally heard from people who, after seeing the images, had their perceptions changed about the humans in these pictures. And it is why I continue to do this, not only to see and understand, but to try and make this very little change in a country which is hit with polarization and hate and is silencing many voices.
How do you see your next year? We don't want to look too far in the future. How do you see your next year?
Hopefully not in jail. Definitely, I would love to keep doing what I'm doing, because it is very personal with me. It's my country, and it's my revolution, and it is our generation. And I feel very strongly about what I do, and I think I do it well to some extent. So I would like to keep doing this and to go beyond the news and try to document the daily lives and the untold stories across Egypt, which is a country that is struggling a lot, not just politically, but in many other instances.
We all wish you lots of energy, lots of luck, and certainly stay out of those prisons.
Thank you.
Who have taken the awards for the groups that are working together. So could you please join us up here to present you, so that we can look at some brave people, some visionary people, some inventive people, some people who went diving in order to find...